מוכרח כל אדם בשעת העסק בתורה להתייגע בה.
Every person must labor in it, in the Torah, and set his mind and heart to find the light of the King's countenance. In it, that is, the attainment of open providence, called light of countenance, and that any person is fit for it. As it is written, those that seek me shall find me. Again, every person must labor in the Torah and set his mind and heart to find the light of the King's countenance. In it, that is, the attainment of open providence, called light of countenance. And any person is fit for it, as it is written, those that seek me shall find me. And as it is written, I labored and did not find, do not believe. Thus, one needs nothing in this matter except the labor alone. Baal Sulam, Introduction to Tess.
Siamo qui con molti amici che sono già andati e
we're here with many friends who are already on the way to their homelands, to their countries, other friends who are preparing now to depart. And for the first time, I see an expression of confidence on their faces. There is no sorrow. There is only confidence. We've annulled and cancelled the matter of distance. And before us opens this hope, this new horizon. And we are always and ever more united there. We continue to stride forward, and we maintain and guard the degree that we've attained with all our power, all our might, desire, because this is the most precious gift that we've received. L'chaim.
We must remember the known rule that there is no light without a vessel. That is, there cannot be a filling without a lack. It is impossible to enjoy something without yearning for it. And yearning for something is called preparation, meaning a need. The need for something determines the yearning, and the level of the pleasure corresponds to the level of the yearning. Rabash, what is the preparation for receiving the Torah? Again, we must remember the known rule that there is no light without a kli, a vessel. That is, there cannot be a filling without a lack. It is impossible to enjoy something without yearning for it. And yearning for something is called preparation, meaning a need. The need for something determines the yearning, and the level of the pleasure corresponds to the level of the yearning.
חברים, мы движемся дальше.
Friends, we're continuing further. Before us is a new path, a new point. And this path will be full of opportunities. to invest our efforts into, to discover there's none else besides Him to a greater extent, and to discover that love to a greater extent, with even more lack, more chisaron.
אין מודיעים שבחו של אדם בפניו, שאין הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Man's merit is not told in his presence. This means that the Creator does not reveal the merit of a degree to one who attains it until that degree has gone and he has been rewarded with a new degree. Then he reveals before him the praise and wholeness of the first. Thus the Creator does not reveal the praise of the degree to its face. Well, it still exists. Again, man's merit is not told in his presence. This means that the Creator does not reveal the merit of a degree to the one who attains it until that degree has gone and he has been rewarded with a new degree. Then he reveals before him the place and the wholeness of the first. Thus the Creator does not reveal the praise of a degree to its face. From Zohar La'am Vaikra.
Dear friends, I knew that if I prepared myself seriously to what I'd like to say in the morning, it wouldn't be good. I came here 3 weeks ago to prepare to a very special Congress, and the Creator gave us a very special gift. Apparently, we've connected, and this is what happens when we connect. Now, normally, when we come to such a place, it takes us some time to acclimatize, to feel, to sit. I sat today with a 10 with whom I didn't sit throughout these 3 weeks, and it took me 1 minute to feel that I'm with my 10. And in the Congress, I felt the same thing. From the moment I sat down, I never sat with them, and that was our place. We got to a stage where the 10 is our place. It's our spiritual connection. I was given this gift to take the keys of our next degree to serve our next Congress. Logistically and as administrator, I flow through these things. I know I have no problem connecting all the cables and setting the budgets and so on. But I'm really trembling because we've understood right now that it's not about that. It's not about if you can organize an event. It's about whether or not we know how to connect, to bring tens there who will connect amongst them with arvut, and will be able to connect the world, to present the properly qualified vessel for the next Gri. And it gives you such a feeling that what we really need is that huge lack, this huge lack for connection, not a lack for fulfillment, the lack for a lack, chisaron for chisaron, to feel that we're the smallest and not the greatest. I come from the North American Kli, where we have really rotten pride. We think we know things and it's difficult for us to ask. But here I am standing before this holy society, before the whole of the world Kli, and I'm begging. We need your help. Without you, we're nothing. It won't be a congress if it won't be the congress of the entire world Kli. And it's not enough to have friends or such a friend who supports this role, and one friend who helps with the content, and another who helps with the assembly of friends. It needs to be everyone. We're standing before Mount Sinai. And what I've learned is that at Mount Sinai we stand as one man with one heart. So I'm going to ask something. I want to ask the friends. I want to ask the tens. If you're a 10 and you want to say, we shall do and we shall hear, we're ready to enter this arvut, to support this Congress, so it's truly a Congress. As a 10, and only as a 10, stand up. A 10 who is prepared and willing to support us, to take upon itself that there will be such a connection in that upcoming Congress. Please, I ask you to stand up now, and I ask you to do the same thing in the world Kli. Tens who are going to support this thing. I'm going to ask the people, the women around us, to also stand and support the men, so that connection will be such that it will be a vessel appropriate to the light, fitting for the light, fitting for our love. Please stand up.
טוב חברים, בואו נשב ועם השתוקקות הזאת נרגיש אותה בכל הלב וניכנס לשיעור.
Okay, friends, let's sit down, and with this longing, let's feel it and take it into the lesson.
חברים, בואו נוודא שהטלפונים סגורים.
Friends, let's make sure our phones are off. Whoever wants to ask a question, please hold the microphone close to your mouth and speak loud and clear. We are in the topic of continuing the Congress in an ascent.
Hello.
We'll be continuing the lesson on the subject of continuing the Congress with an ascent. The texts can be downloaded on our website, kab.tv, and questions can be asked through that website during the lesson as well.
What does it mean that we're continuing the Congress with an ascent? Ascent to what? All of our work, in the end, is working on one point, revealing the Creator to man. And this is where we need to clarify, what does it mean, revelation, who is man, who's the creator, in what vessels is he revealed, and under what conditions. And when we scrutinize all these things, so how do you work with it? How do we, in every moment, how can we be concerned that the connection with the Creator will increase? And if we feel a descent or even a disconnection from the Creator, so it doesn't toss us out into some kind of state that is really disconnected, but we, for these moments, we also have a covenant, we have a habit, an environment, and all of this becomes our second nature. And we go back again to that same tendency, revealing the Creator, that there's none else besides Him, and He's good and benevolent. And in our efforts to this, we gradually attain more and more vessels to feel Him, to understand Him, to find Him, to strengthen that feeling to such an extent that this feeling comes closer and is clarified and truly becomes a feeling of the Creator in the created being, and afterwards a revelation revealing the Creator to man, to the created being. And then more and more degrees of attainment, degrees of dvikut. That's why when we have this topic of continuing the Congress in an ascent, that is actually our work, to actually be in this. That's why once a person wakes up, his first thought, his first feeling that should come to him is, what's up with my connection with the Creator? Am I coming back to this connection or not? Did it disappear? Is it here in me? And to make sure that this connection will be renewed and never stop. And then when the states keeps changing, a person must understand, he has to understand that all the changing of the states, it's only in order, it's to bring him strengthening in the connection with the Creator. That is it. There is no other reason for anything to change. Also in the corporeal life, also in the spiritual life as one. And he has to see in every moment an opportunity to strengthen his connection, that there's none else besides him, good and benevolent, in control and dwelling in all my cells of my brain and all the cells of my heart. And except for that, there's nothing. That is the wisdom of Kabbalah, revealing the Creator to its beings in this world. And to constantly be concerned about it. This is called that we're ascending from degree to degree, from state to state. For this, I need arvut, because myself, I can't hold on to this. The system is built in such a way that it entirely has to have the correct interconnection according to my degree. That's why I need to be concerned with the correct connection with the general system, that in it I discover the Creator. My connection with that system is called arvut, a contract that I sign with them. Is there maybe another word I can use? A unit? Well, when I come to stay with them, that we're all connected together as one unit, and we decide that we are staying like this, even though all these states are still changing. Even in that moment we're speaking about it, so the changes are, the states are changing. But we can advance only if we have this system, and we exist in it. That's why this condition of arvut is essential. Except for that, it's a condition called determining the times of the Torah, that there must be precise times, not kind of like roughly determining something. Yeah, weak. From time to time. But they have to be permanent. And a person has to participate in these times in connection with the group and in connection with the study. Study only according to the sources, only with those people that are on the spiritual path with him, that he's signing a covenant with, that they are all holding each other and they're committed to one another in sustaining the group, in holding the friends, in the arvut in one group. The arvut, the main law in them is that what we are signing right now remains upon all changes that we feel in the relationships between us. Tomorrow, someone can change, something can change. We understand that our world is the imaginary world. It all seems like this in me, because all the changes are in me, in my desire. That's why I need to hold myself in such a way that even though the conditions are changing, my ego constantly grows and changes in quality and quantity, and the relations I determine towards my friends of friendship and love, they all remain. That's why, even though my desire grows, the disturbances grow. I leave my relationships as they are and accept them without any change. I must behave today with the friends as I do as I did yesterday. During the time we had the friendship and love, even. And there's no change in that. Meaning, I put conditions before me that don't depend on the changing of my states, of my desire, of my thought, of my mood, in nothing. And that is what I keep. In this way, I gradually overcome above my beast. And I can already come closer to revealing the Creator. There are a lot of conditions in this, a lot of changes, because we are like that. We're so complex. Because specifically by this complexity, we can locate all of the changes that are in the upper light, that altogether, when all those lights connect in us, then we attain the complete form of the Creator. Well, let's go study. Are there questions about this, please? No. Okay, good. So, read.
We'll be starting with item number 10 from our texts, selected texts on continuing the Congress with an ascension. Item 10. When one walks on the paths of the Creator, he is given many awakenings from above. In the middle of the prayer, or while studying the Torah, or while performing a commandment, and this awakening enters one's heart, and he begins to feel the flavor and grace of holiness. However, one should know that he was given this abundance only so as to gain new strength and be able to grow stronger in the work, that he will engage in the battle of the war of the inclination, and then, each time he is given a temporary rest, meaning upper abundance. For when the awakening from above comes to a person, it seems to him that there is no longer any war, for at that time he begins to feel the beauty and glory of holiness and the lowliness of corporeal matters, until he resolves to work only for the Creator. But since a person did not really finish his work, the awakening that he was given is taken away from him, and he soon falls into his previous state, where he feels grace and beauty only in corporeal things, and regards matters of sanctity as redundant. At that time, he engages in Torah and commandments only out of compulsion and coercion, and not because of the desire and joy as when he had the awakening. Therefore, if he is smart, he should always exert until he is helped from above to be rewarded with real wholeness.
When one walks the path of the Creator, he is given many awakenings from above. In the middle of the prayer, or while studying Torah, or while performing a commandment, this awakening enters the heart, and he begins to feel that favor and grace of holiness. However, one should know that he was given this abundance only so as to gain new strength and be able to grow stronger in the work. That he will engage in the battle of the war of the inclination. Then each time he is giving a temporary rest, meaning upper abundance. For when the awakening from above comes to a person, it seems to him that there's no longer any war. For at that time he begins to feel the beauty and the glory of holiness and the lowliness of corporeal manners, until he resolves to the work only for the Creator, meaning that he already sees that he corrected everything, he corrected himself. It's not a rest that was giving an awakening or an uplifting, but it's already his true state. But since a person did not really finish his work, the awakening that he was given is taken away from him, and he soon falls into his previous state, where he feels grace and beauty only in corporeal things, and regarding matters of sanctity as redundant. And all the time he engages in Torah and mitzvot only out of compulsion and correction, and not because of desire and joy as when he had the awakening. Therefore, if he is smart, he should always exert until he is helped from above to be rewarded with real wholeness. Meaning, not to think that he receives an awakening on the highest degree that he can imagine for himself. Not to think that this is Gmal Tikkun, the end of the work, that truthfully this work never ends. The fact that a person can say to himself that he, thank God, I'm freedom, I can do everything I want. That's the opposite. That's the worst descent. Because truly, if he wants to stop the work, wants to stop his efforts, so he's in a descent, not in an ascent. In spirituality, a state is checked according to not speed but acceleration. As much as a person wants to increase his pace, to advance more and more. That's why if he is given some fulfilling, feels full, and it clogs him, so he's being humiliated, or given an opportunity to advance with great forces, and he really needs those great forces because he's getting such a feeling that supposedly there's nothing else to do, no need to move. Like a person, let's say, who filled himself with food and drink and all the way. What can he do now? And here he needs again to awaken himself with the connection with the environment, with the friends, and to search for more opportunities how to add an exertion. That there can't be that what he has now is all in attaining the greatness of the Creator. That is always lacking. Meaning, the obstacles, as Rabash writes here, obstacles can be not only on the bad side. On the bad, it's not obstacles. If a person is tossed down and he feels problems, trouble, helplessness, no mood, everything's dark, it's not an obstacle. That, on the contrary, he's awakened by new desires that awaken in him. He's awakened to work. But the fact that a person is given a fulfillment and he's filled all the way, everything's good, everything's great, what a good mood, what an understanding, what a nice feeling. I'm like a balloon exploding. That's an obstacle. Because from this state, it's very hard to add an exertion, to imagine that there's a better state by sacrificing for the Creator, for the path, because the vessels are full and it's hard to move them into the direction of a new deficiency. If the Creator awakens a deficiency and a person falls, that's okay. But for a person, while everything's okay, he needs to awaken a deficiency on his own. That is very difficult. Very difficult. And here a person is checked. Why? Because if he is given all the best in his corporeal life, and even in his spiritual life, that he feels that he has understanding and a feeling and everything's good, really. So, from this state to establish a new deficiency, like the elder searching for something that he lost, that is very difficult. And here it's a problem. Because the work has to be specifically from these states too, and especially that. Especially if a person works correctly, so every time he reaches good states, and must right away awaken a deficiency and raise to an even higher degree, a more exalted one, and on every high degree to search for a deficiency and find an even greater deficiency in that state. The question is, two states to advance in the work, from down and a state from above. How do they happen in us? What can we do in those two states in order to advance? And what exactly are we advancing in? In the greatness of the Creator in our eyes. Please.
We advance in the greatness of the Creator between us, because the more we have the greatness of the Creator, every situation we receive, we can immediately see that there's none else besides Him. And if we see this from the get-go, from the beginning, it's like grabbing hold of this situation from below. And if we don't see that there's none else besides Him, it's like a situation that comes from above. And then what's in the ten, the alvut between us, the relationships between us, help us return to there's none else besides Him. But it's an awakening from above.
And from above, when I feel myself inspired, like we read in that piece, and everything's okay, so supposedly there's nothing to add. So it actually shows that all of my work is only for the reward. If I'm not advancing and searching for more greatness of the Creator, so what was I working for? I worked for this good feeling. By this, I'm shown that I'm actually in a descent.
To hold on to the greatness of the Creator, that's within our ability. When we connect in the direction of the goal, meaning that the goal of our connection will always be the greatness of the Creator rather than the greatness of the ego or pleasure from one another. Only the greatness of the Creator. That's why we've assembled.
Greatness of the Creator is attained by self-annulment. That's why we have to work on self-annulment. Work on external deficiencies, friends, dissemination, and constantly add more deficiencies.
According to what we've heard, I think that it's only Ovut. It's not that I have the need or the desire or any kind of dependency. The only thing that brings me to advancement, to the greatness of the Creator, is Ovut. And if I listen or not, that's something else. But this is what I hear from the wise ones.
The ascents and descents and the greatness of the Creator. When the Creator is great, that's not a problem. You can put a sticker on your car written none else besides Him, and then when I'm not in it, I'm not in it, because man is what changes. And sometimes it's close to his heart, sometimes it isn't. The only expression he can truly test himself in is his attitude towards the friends. There, every moment, every hour, there's ascents and descents and scrutiny. And the work in the ascent and descent is completely different work. You have to be alert to that state and build a correct attitude towards the state and towards the work at that time.
So essentially, how you relate to the group, that's the group. There is no group, there's nothing. Only how I relate to them, the way I can establish it. And if this disposition comes as a negative kind of stink from above, this is negative. But if we evoke it together through jealousy and annulment and everything that was discussed, then we ascend and we advance through ascension.
Greatness of the Creator is the greatness of the group, greatness of the friends, and the lowness of myself. Doesn't matter in what state. Even if I'm low, so that's better. But if I feel good, that is lowness. And the friends are the great ones. That's the greatness of the Creator.
Yes, and the greatness of the Creator is also to notice that you're lowly, because without the greatness of the Creator, you can't see that.
And the state of the lowness is actually easier to advance with in order to attain the greatness of the Creator. Because a person doesn't want to be in that lowness. Then it's like a deficiency that he is given from above. Just the wisdom is how to organize that deficiency before it shows up as a revelation of that empty vessel, that he's actually shown that it's empty. But by the connections between us, we can develop such an appetite that we can advance on our own behalf. And not that, again, the Creator is awakening us.
Yes, this acceleration is simply impossible alone. It's like an engine. And regardless of how much you try to push forward individually, you'll at best maintain the same speed. But if we're talking about acceleration, that's only with connection, only by receiving an impression, being tighter with the friends.
And man can feel that connection, that alvut, if he doesn't give it to the friends. That's why all of our work must be before the states, in preparation, in a daily schedule, that you have times. When am I concerned of a deficiency? When am I concerned of the friends? When am I pushing outward? Doesn't matter if I feel good or not. By this, the person's control on himself starts in determining times where he works for society. And then by strengthening society, it'll work back on him.
I can give you an example from my 10, but really, it's not a great example with the WhatsApp and everything. But every time I write something in the WhatsApp that doesn't have much to do with spirituality, or like this Polish mother. It's like the end of the world. And that's how we need to act. Everything that's not directed at connection, well, as a 10, we need to work together to show that it's important for us.
It turns out that this path of ascent and descent develop us towards adhesion, towards changing our qualities to be in bestow. Because you can't really be happy at your state for more than a moment. Because once you understand where you are, you know you have to add in love of friends, add in concern to the friends, until you're concerned towards the world, till it all becomes one vessel. Then there's nothing to be happy about more than one moment. That's the motivating force. It obligates you to develop in acceleration. And not that now I feel good or not.
Yes, these things are measured.
Rav, from the state we feel ourselves good, we search for deficiency and find a deficiency in order to advance towards revealing the Creator, that there's none else besides Him and good and benevolent, and His glory fills all the world. How can we, in a state that all of our vessels are filled, in our mind and heart, we feel calm, how do we find ourselves or bring us out of this state to search how to adhere to none else besides Him and good and benevolent? In order to adhere, we need a deficiency. A deficiency can be felt in us or in the Creator. How do we find this deficiency? What's the difference if we feel the deficiency in us or supposedly if we feel it in the Creator? Please.
The Congress is over. We're sated, full. Look at what great things we did. And you're still in that. But there comes another Congress, and you're in great distress, fear. So if we constantly make sure to generate the demand for the next state, we can always be in the correct deficiency, correct way to advance to the Creator. We don't need to wait for the Creator to supply us with some chisaron, some lack. We don't disconnect from Him. We take full responsibility.
I'd maybe add about the feeling. If you have a feeling of fulfillment, that could be a warning sign or an awakening sign. They have to search for the next deficiency, because we didn't come here to feel good about ourselves. We came here to reach love between us, love of others, revealing the quality of bestowal.
Yes, this is the good lack. This is the good from the lack. This is a new feeling.
If the state doesn't change every 2 or 3 minutes, you have to check your pulse and see if you're still alive. Because that's exactly our work. You're always in a certain state. You know that there's more states before you on the path to Dvikut, and you have to ask yourself, what am I doing here more than 1 second in this state?
And there's no Creator other than the correct form of connection between us. And so the lack for the Creator is the lack of the group, and if I have my own individual lack, it's not spiritual. It's not properly directed. I can feel great with it, but I'm outside of the path.
Again, in order to adhere to none else besides Him and good benevolent, we need a deficiency. How do we find that deficiency? What's the difference in finding the deficiency in us or in the Creator? I think you just have to invest everything you have in the friends. Outside of yourself, a person feels he has nothing. Once you have nothing, you still have to keep investing, and you have place to invest.
As a matter of principle, there's only one direction, but if it's only towards the Creator, then we have a problem. In order for us to unite, for us to come together, in order to bestow love and spirituality upon the Creator, everything that we want, if we don't do that, we don't feel so good.
I would add in the opportunity to exert. The situations show up. The question is, how do we come to them? How do we take care of them? Do we, maybe through the upper one that forces us to go through it, the Creator from the deficiency that He plants in there, so it's only through suffering? Or is it from work and exertion do we go through it? Like there's Passover even before the American Congress. There's an opportunity in every moment to make this next jump. And even now, to use this moment to feel that deficiency that we haven't attained yet, that He is expecting this, and we have to do the work.
To transfer more of the lack and the fulfillment, all these changes, to transfer them outside of me as much as possible. To take all these things that come to me instinctively as actions to fulfill myself, my own desire. I need to satisfy myself. I need to take that and transfer that out of me to the society.
Rav, we were talking about this yesterday, that the main thing in our life is the deficiency, that we enjoy the deficiency, we enjoy a yearning, a longing, the longing. That's what we enjoy. That love isn't called that I'm enjoying love, I'm enjoying longing for it, being drawn to that person that I love. And you have to try and search for like flavors in this taste, because that's how spirituality is checked according to the deficiency. No deficiency, no fulfillment, no feeling of it. We talked about it yesterday. Why was all this creation made in this way, that we have to cover the deficiency, restriction, masach, reflected light, build everything above it? Because if we will build it differently, just like in corporeality, the fulfillment enters the deficiency disappears. The deficiency disappears. The feeling disappears. That's it. And in this way, we destroy the deficiency and the fulfillment. They erase each other. They neutralize each other. That's why for us to have the feeling of the fulfillment, of an endless fulfillment, eternal, we have to be in an eternal deficiency. So how do you do that? By restriction, masach, reflected light, that we isolate the deficiency from the fulfillment, and the fulfillment never enters the deficiency. It doesn't. It's something we can't digest yet, what a spiritual vessel is. It's very unique psychology. That dvikut, the connection with the Creator, is above that empty deficiency. And the deficiency that we create is a deficiency for love. not for our fulfilling of our vessels, our natural vessels. Then that deficiency for love is what we fill, which is called with reflected light. That's where we discover the Creator, above the Masach. Okay, well, let's maybe keep going. What you want to ask, yes?
It's still not clear what the pattern is for overcoming in states of ascent.
Where can I take a deficiency from when I don't have a deficiency?
Yes, I'm full.
And what, you didn't find anything? Somebody? Did anybody find? Yeah. In the friends. Here, he's answering you. There can't be that in. It can be that in the group you fulfill your deficiency. What does that mean? A deficiency of a person and a deficiency of the group is exactly the corporeal deficiency in man and the spiritual deficiency of the group. That's why only if a person is connected to the group and we constantly awaken each other and we're in arvut, in an agreement that we must hold on to each other, so that deficiency that is outside of him is always ready for him. And that's a spiritual desire. Okay? More questions? Let's say it's clear. Meaning every rest that we feel on the path, it's a sign that we haven't reached some stop, but that we're demanded to keep working. You want to ask about that? What?
There's such a state where, is there such a state where the 10 is in ascent and then it's difficult for it to find a chisaron, a lack? The whole 10 is in a state of ascent and it's difficult then to find a lack?
No. There could be a state, but it's a special state. Let's say like Chanukah, like we say. A rest. That we change the type of vessels. It's like a special inversion that we start awakening the vessels of reception after we've prepared the vessels of bestowal. And that's something special. But actually, always, if I'm in a 10, it means I need a deficiency that is that I have to get closer and closer to the friends, even in a corporeal way, and my spiritual deficiency will renew itself. Keep going. Wait. Yes, Zol.
There's one thing that remains unclear. How do we accelerate? I can increase the rate of my advancement by awakening a lack for advancing on the path before the Creator. If the chisaron, the lack, comes from the Creator, this is called, say, natural in spirituality. But if I awaken the dawn, this is not natural. It's supposedly it comes from the lower one. And then I generate this acceleration. I accelerate myself. That's how it is. Right? What?
But how can a person create that connection to the deficiency of the group in order to get that general direction from deficiency from them and not his own?
He has no deficiency for that. He's with them in a corporeal way. And he must awaken himself from the corporeal level. This is the whole profit, the benefit of a group. On one hand, it's corporeal. You have these bodies, these meals, you talk to each other and everything. And on the other hand, the relationships between people inside it are spiritual. And then in the group, you have something interesting, the meeting point between the two worlds.
And the passage between those two worlds, the corporeal integration to the internal integration for a person can really get a deficiency from the group.
You can awaken through your corporeal relationships with the friends, gifts, meals together, all kinds of actions. By those, you can awaken your desire for spirituality.
What?
This is a divine invention, point of transfer from world to world.
What determined that click will happen, that connection?
It's there. You don't have to create anything, perhaps to stabilize, but it's there. The laws exist. If you set up a 10, you begin to work in it against your own nature, against your corporeal nature. You go to connect with them as much as you can in the corporeal world. Yes? More and more, and increasingly so, in the connection between you. It follows then that through this corporeal connection, which you can make, you can even purchase them, buy them for money. Like that Chassid who paid the musicians, who gave them his last dollars to play music for him. Why? Because they awakened his desire. You understand? Through many kinds of actions in the imaginary world, which supposedly exists, you awaken desires which belong to the true world, to spirituality. This is what the society gives to you. Yes?
And that click of that connection, that transition, it depends on something specifically, or is it a combination?
You don't know where that click is. You don't know. You can't locate it. No. This is given from above. If you do this, then it works. There is some connection, but you can't detect these wires. There's a cause here and an effect over there. But it's clear to us from what the Kabbalists write, Abash especially wrote about this, the degree by which we can awaken our inner states through corporeal actions. But these actions in this world, we have to know how to affect them in order to advance ourselves in spirituality. Otherwise, these actions remain commandments which are empty of content.
So what's this addition you were talking about? What do we have to know that it won't just...
I'm doing this in order to advance in spirituality. It's not for nothing that I'm sitting with you and drinking and eating and singing, and is that it? Is that called an assembly? No, our assembly has a special, spiritual, exalted purpose, sublime purpose, and for that we do it, not for it to be resolved on the level of this world. All right, well, let's continue.
Quote 11. Bala Sulam Shamati 211, as though standing before a king. One who is sitting at one's home is not like one who's standing before a king. This means that faith should be that he will feel as though he is standing before the king all day. Then his love and fear will certainly be complete. And as long he has not achieved this kind of faith, he should not rest. For that is our lives and the length of our days, and he will accept no recompense. And the lack of faith should be woven in his limbs until the habit becomes a second nature, to the extent that when I remember him, he does not let me sleep. But all the corporeal matters quench this desire, since he sees that anything that gives him pleasure, the pleasure cancels the deficiency and the pain. However, one must want no consolation, and should be careful with any corporeal thing that one receives, so it does not quench his desire.
What desire? The desire to discover the Creator as good and benevolent, who is in contact with Him, right? And there must be a constant, permanent contact.
This is done by regretting that by this pleasure, the sparks and powers of the vessels of Kedusha are missing in him, meaning the desires for Kedusha, sanctity, and through the sorrow he can keep from losing the vessels of Kedusha. Again, one who is sitting at one's home is not like one who is standing before a king. This means that faith should be that he will feel as though he is standing before the king all day.
That is the state towards which one aspires always, and everything is measured according to that state.
Then his love and fear will certainly be complete. And as long as he has not achieved this kind of faith, he should not rest. For that is our lives and the length of our days, and we will not accept any recompensation. And the lack of faith should be woven in his limbs until the habit becomes a second nature, to the extent that when I remember him, he does not let me sleep. But all the corporeal matters quench his desire, since he sees that anything that gives him pleasure, the pleasure cancels the deficiency and the pain. However, one must want no consolation, and should be careful with any corporeal thing that one receives, so it will not quench his desire. This is done by regretting that by this pleasure, the sparks and powers of the vessels of Kedusha, sanctity, are missing in him, meaning the desires for Kedusha. And through the sorrow he can keep from losing the vessels of Kedusha.
How do I maintain this sorrow, this regret, so that I always have vessels with which to advance more and more towards the sensation of the Creator, the understanding of the Creator, detecting Him, advancing more towards Him? How do I maintain these vessels so I won't lack them, so I won't clog myself up, so that I'm afraid of losing interest in this, the desire, the passion? Each and every one of us lacks this. So, How do we establish or collect these vessels so that we're on fire like that? This lack can come through bad states, fears, problems where only the Creator can save me, and then I run to Him, please help me, help, because I see no one else can save me, but this is in order to receive then. It's not the same lack for spirituality to bestow to Him. It's me seeking Him out in order to bestow to me. So, how can I detect a lack for the Creator here? Meaning to bestow to Him, to yearn for Him in order to bestow contentment upon Him, and not for me to gain anything. Please speak all together and find an answer, because otherwise, for now, all of our actions are only corporeal. Please. By this, I want you to sense the boundary, the border where corporeality ends and spirituality begins. This is the boundary where I lack for nothing except for adhesion with the Creator. I lack adhesion with Him, the feeling of the Creator. This isn't lacking in my own vessels, but rather I lack this in order to bestow to Him. So from that moment on, spirituality begins. Please.
In corporeality, things are simple. We want fulfillment. If you're filled, the vessel's happy. If you're not, you're sad. In spirituality, it's opposite. We have to reach a state that we enjoy a deficiency. And this state can only be when the reason for the pleasure and for the efficiency, they both come. How do I phrase this? It can't be in one place. It has to be in two different things. There has to be happiness that I'm advancing and a feeling that it comes from a deficiency and from a yearning for the path.
I can't recall the question exactly, but I remember getting this feeling of fear, of not actualizing this, and that's the salvation. The fear of wanting to keep adding onto this love, this connection, all the time. This is what will make it continue on living.
Specifically, if we have those times that we were talking about that obligate us to go and see what the next thing is. Like now, the Congress ends and we already have another Congress. We already have to be concerned about somebody else. If you're constantly immersed in the other, so there'll always be a deficiency. You can always find something. There's no limits to bestow. No limits to be doing for them, wanting for them. So it's simple if that's all we're busy with.
And these actions are engagement with another's lack. First of all, it has to take place on the external level, of course, but it's for us to come to connection on the inner level, meaning we perform all these actions of investment in others, awakening them, caring for them, and by that we want some inner connection to develop, which will move us from our own desire, our own care for ourselves, to a common collective desire, a feeling of the Creator.
Where do we locate this deficiency between spirituality and corporeality in the 10? Where?
Meaning, I am seemingly in a state where I feel great. I took care of everything I need. I lack for nothing. But I'm restless. I'm running around like mad because I lack bestowal to the friends.
The whole passage from spirituality to corporeality, receiving and bestowing, is who I'm serving under the conditions that are given to me, the forces that I'm given. Who am I serving? The point of the me or what's outside of me? That's a question. Now, what determines if it's alive in me or tasteless? Will it burn in me or mean nothing? So a person wants it to burn, that the Creator will make it burn in the other's deficiencies like me, and that could be the will to receive. Maybe the fact that it's not burning in me and there's no flavors and there's no feeling, that's what opens a new reality that's above our usual flavors.
Oh, amazing. What I hear you saying, I felt like a dead man, and now my heart is as if bursting in my chest. I get all these stories, parables coming up. It's like, well, we can be on the bus to Jerusalem. I don't care where we're going, but the most important thing for me is that I'm sitting there with you. We're on the way there. The important thing for me is, well, we're together on a journey, irrespective of where we're going. Right? I'm with you. It's a journey.
Yeah, it's a trip you can enjoy it, go with your friends, and pleasure, but there could be coals on the floor. So that's what the ego feels. To live with a deficiency and enjoy it, you need some kind of connection with the light to be happy that I'm lacking to bestow, I'm lacking to make happiness in the friends. I want to give confidence to the friends, and there's some limit. That there's that letter from the Rabash that he determines that there's no reality but the friends. That's where he depicts how that I is erased. There's a new I, which is all the friends, until the I doesn't exist there. So he moves himself from an egoistic little vessel to the endless vessel of love of friends. It's like bestowing, it's like the Creator.
And in effect, this I, this individual, is already erased, because regardless of how good it can feel in itself, it doesn't exist. This whole state is established within him according to conditions which he did not choose in any way, and this isn't the goal even, meaning he's not realizing himself at all. If he truly wanted to realize himself, the only action he could take is to move from that individual lack to the group lack, the collective one, so that all his actions are directed in that way.
Another discernment is to add the Creator into this situation, that when we're in a state of fulfillment and it's not so clear what you're doing, what you need to do, everything's okay, what the work is, that's a situation where from it you can work and keep going ahead from none else besides Him. That is what He wants. It's to keep working in this exertion. It's an action that for sure isn't for my favor. It's only to give contentment.
We need to come to a situation in the workshop when we speak together. It's unclear what that means, but we have to add warmth, and then we'll see what it means.
That nobody completes a sentence. It's always a beginning of an idea.
He took the microphone out of my hand there, but...
It's similar to the work we have to do here, that Quote number 12 from Bala Sulam, letter 18. One who assumes the complete burden of the kingdom of heaven finds no labor in worshipping the Creator, and can therefore be attached to the Creator day and night, in light and darkness. The rain, which is created in coming and going, changes and exchanges will not stop him, because the Keta, which is Ein Sof, illuminates to all completely equal. The fool who walks under the flood of preventions that pour on him before and from behind says to all that he doesn't feel the cessation and the lack of adhesion is a corruption or iniquity on his part. Had he sensed it, he would certainly have strained to find some tactic to at least be saved from the cessation of dvikut. Whether more or less, this tactic has never been prevented from anyone who sought it, either as the thought of faith, or as confidence, or as in pleas of his prayer, which are suitable for a person specifically in the narrow and stressed places. Even a thief in hiding calls upon the Creator. For this reason, it does not require mochin de gadlut to keep the branch from cutting its root. Again, one who assumes the complete burden of the kingdom of heaven finds no labor in worshipping the Creator, and can therefore be attached to the Creator day and night, in light and in darkness. The rain, which is created in coming and going, changes and exchanges, will not stop him, because the Keter, which is Ein Sof, illuminates to all completely equally. The fool who walks under a flood of preventions that pour on him before and from behind says to all that he doesn't feel the cessation and the lack of adhesion as a corruption or iniquity on his part. Had he sensed it, he would certainly have strained to find some tactic to at least be saved from the cessation of dvikut. Whether more or less, this tactic has never been prevented from anyone who sought it, either as in thought of faith, or as in confidence, or as in pleas of his prayer, which are suitable for a person specifically in the narrow and stressed places. For even a thief in hiding calls upon the Creator. For this reason, it does not require mochin de gadlut to keep the branch from cutting from its root.
So, the question follows, which is the same question actually. How do we awaken ourselves each time to want to discover the lack for adhesion with the Creator more and more? How do we evoke this in the group, in action? To the lack of adhesion and to adhesion. What does it mean to lack of adhesion and adhesion? That adhesion is what we lack, to me, within the group, where I attain it, and the lack which each one must supply to the society, whatever depends on him to do, for the society's general adhesion to the Creator. And where will it be felt? If there is adhesion within the group, to that extent, the Creator is revealed within the group. And then each and every one understands what they've discovered, and each and every one, they all have a collective sensation. The Creator is between us. So the question is, how do we always keep supplying the correct lack for all the members of the group. Is that clear? Go on. How do we supply the correct lack to all members of the group? Because that's what we lack in order to advance. Only to have the correct lack. So what is the correct lack? And how do we supply it to everyone? First of all, to continue Ariel's words, I'm very happy. Today, neurons just don't connect together. You begin a thought and it doesn't end. So the important thing is to be with the friends together. And somehow it's clear that the lack is, the purpose is not to go from fulfilling your own desire to fulfilling the friend's desires, but rather it's a different thing. It's the Creator's lack that we need to fulfill. It's unclear. There is a goal which we cannot grasp right now in our vessels, which is called adhesion. We need to talk about the greatness of this goal, and with that we need to talk about the greatness of the means, meaning an environment that helps us achieve that goal. And there we need to generate a lack, and that's the uniqueness of our environment, which builds up this lack. And we can bring in all the articles of the Rabash in order to tell us how to do that. The correct lack, which we need to supply each other with, is the one for the greatness of the Creator, and it is expressed by the actions each one of us takes here, because he does what he does, ultimately to achieve that greatness. Perhaps we can't consciously explain this to ourselves, but this is what leads us. This is the lack that brought us here. So everything that we do helps us make this fire bigger. So ultimately it will come back to me and give me a true awakening, even though I didn't have one before. And then when one falls, he notices it, and that's a great thing. However, if a friend is feeling that spirituality doesn't matter to him anymore, he's angry at everyone in the world, and annoyed, and he feels like he fell out of the 10 and completely crashed and burned. He feels that, meaning that there is a lack. Whereas he, in respect to the 10, he measures that. So the lack is in the fall or in the ascent. So precisely when the fire is burning and you're perhaps the angriest, perhaps you're the closest, and this is an example. So, for how, in tandem with that state, you push forward.
This whole life brings us closer to the true deficiency that we discover and we see that it doesn't belong to me or to you, but that it's born between us. And it happens that from these things that Rabash write in the articles, when we try to annul towards the friends, when we try to see the friends as greater in our eyes, society, the path,
if we do that, we want our own individual desire to become this. Well, where is our attention? Is it on the collective lack? How great it is? And that's the form of the Creator. There's no other form than the form of the group's connection. And then my whole lack. Well, there's my feeling, my own individual feeling, and I have these thoughts of the group, and in the divide between them, I can ask for the prayer.
Because this might be the deficiency for adhesion in the Creator, that this means to be concerned about being concerned outward. And you just have to be in the concern outside of you.
You know how sometimes you worry about something outside of yourself, you suddenly forget about yourself. Half a day has passed and you hardly ate anything, or something like that. You haven't sat down for 3 hours and you didn't notice because you were concerned with something external.
Rav is very good in doing this to us. Yesterday we were in a meeting about the North American Congress, and I heard there's no groups and no tens. Why should I even come there? And my blood was boiling. Because it doesn't let you sink into the state of numbness. Because it's not something you have to attain here. You have to attain the deficiency. We have to constantly find the ways, not even wait for love. Find ways to work with this matter. It's a new material. Not like in a corporeality, work with the filling, but to work with the deficiency.
There's this feeling that it's as if the Kabbalists are inoculating us against the nonsense of this world. And here we're being taught how to be happy, joyed with despair. There's no greater, happier state. Here we're being taught to enjoy caring for others. Everything is upside down. This is considered success, meaning to hold on to these two opposite states and connect them into one. Join them into one, to get power and confidence from that, from the fact that we lack, that we haven't attained yet.
And here it could be that this limit is being scrutinized between corporeality and spirituality, that we're like being pressed on, that the spark will come out of us and connect to all the other ones. And in this connection, we discover a completely different reality, a completely different life. That in this life you live for them, you just don't bother them.
And if we don't help one another to develop such a collective lack, then our ego doesn't despair. Through to our death, it tries to satisfy itself. Either it despairs and dies, either one despairs and dies, or he understands that the ego cannot be satisfied directly, filled directly, and he breaks through to a dimension that's outside of him and leaves his ego lacking, because then it becomes a kind of fuel source which maintains this new form.
You give a deficiency by personal example, by acting. You need to let the friends act in what I want them to attain, that they'll be envious.
You can always show that you're in it, you're focused on it. Maybe you don't have anything, but you can at least show outwardly that you're dealing with that, engaging with it, and concerned with it. And that's enough.
I thought that the fulfillment of the ego isn't specifically a corporeal fulfillment. It's as much as a person. It's not that I have to sleep on the floor and eat rocks in order to say that now I'm annulled. You can eat in a restaurant of 1,000 shekels a meal and be in dvikut and be happy from the state that you're also full and also connected to the friends. It's not on one dimension.
It's cool. It's as if you have to attain spirituality. You have to explain to their friends what spirituality is in order for you to attain spirituality.
And all of these attempts that we're doing on the outside should actually, in the end, give birth to a request that some inner connection that isn't in our forces to do, that it'll happen. We're not in control, not of our desire, not the friend's desires. It all has to bring us from the advice of the Kabbalists to get such an inner force that will connect and reveal between us.
Maybe everything we can do is just to help one another be more attentive towards what's happening, and to relate to it and to act correctly regarding it.
So there's a Congress. Wake up. What are we speaking so much? We have to start.
Rav, So it's clear to us that what we must do is to magnify, increase that desire, that chisaron, and make sure that each and every friend has a chisaron for spiritual advancement. This is our fulfillment. This is our fulfillment. If I take care of the chisaron, of the lack for the group's advancement towards its goal, we need nothing else. That is my duty in respect to the group. And then it is certain that we'll arrive at adhesion with the Creator. So that's where the Arvut is, the covenant, how we set ourselves up in our relationships. From that necessity to increase the lack, from that we derive our lessons, our meals, our workshops, everything that we endeavor to do is from the necessity to increase the lack for adhesion. Continue, please.
Quote 13, Rabash in the article, the main thing we are lacking. The main thing we lack, and the reason we do not have fuel for the work, is that we lack importance of the goal, meaning that we do not know how to appreciate our service and know who we are bestowing to. Hence, we lack the knowledge of the greatness of the Creator and know how happy we should be that we were rewarded with serving the King, since we have nothing with which to understand His greatness. Again, the main thing we lack and the reason we do not have the fuel for the work is that we lack the importance of the goal, meaning that we do not know how to appreciate our service and know how we are bestowing to, who we are bestowing to. Hence, we lack the knowledge of the greatness of the Creator and know how happy we should be that we were rewarded with serving the King, since we have nothing with which to understand His greatness.
Meaning that we'll always have this feeling that regardless of how full we are with understanding, feeling, the imagination of the greatness of the Creator, we never attain him at all, and especially qualitatively, not quantity. With quantity you can, but in quality we can't, because in quality it's enough to alter just one little point in the recognition of the Creator, just one point, and then like one pixel, and then the image changes completely. And what was important beforehand and great and special inverts and now becomes something new, a new discernment, which is special and important, and the whole work ascends to a different level in regards to its conditions and discernments. So the main thing we lack, and for which reason we do not have the fuel for the work, is the importance of the goal, meaning that we do not know how to properly value our service and know to whom we are bestowing. Also, we lack the knowledge of the greatness of the Creator, so as to know how happy we should be for being rewarded with serving the King, since we have no way to understand His greatness. Meaning, it's as if there is despair here. We have no way to understand His greatness, but we don't need that. We only need to know that we don't have it. We don't have the ability to attain this, and then our lack can be infinite, without end, even on the highest degrees. The end of the correction of the vessel is when it has an infinite lack and it feels empty. Because the vessel of bestowal cannot be filled. It cannot be filled. The more you run to fill it up, you see that this vessel gets further and further away. But we're happy with that, because in the sensation of lack, there is a sensation of appreciation of the Creator, and that's the goal, essentially, importance. We never attain Him. We attain the measure of importance that we've obtained for Him. I don't know in what way to format the question. From what do we derive enjoyment in serving the Creator? What exactly is the pleasure from serving Him? Does this joy, enjoyment, have to do with us, or with the Creator, with the group, or perhaps all three together? How do we establish this reality such that our joy will be, well, the purpose of creation is to do good to His created beings, so that our joy will be exactly compatible with the Creator's plan for us. So please.
It's like serving the king. Us, the friends, build. It's exactly what was here before in the previous workshop, the previous turnaround. I stopped seeing Itai, or I saw qualities, how each one is truly trying to squeeze something out of the heart and reveal the Creator between us. That's exactly what we're doing. We're serving. We have a desire to serve the King, the Creator, to discover Him between us.
The pleasure from serving the King doesn't come from serving someone great and being honored and respected and secure. It comes from me changing and adhering, changing my qualities from those of self-concern, selfish concern, to His qualities. He serves the whole world. He does good to His created beings. And so I learn to work towards them, towards others, to care for the friends, the whole world. That's the direction. And by changing, that generates happy and joy for me.
And the change is gradual. First, we're bombarded with greatness of the Creator, and it feels like the best and most amazing thing that only worth living for. And we gradually understand that if we remain in such a feeling up in the air, so actually we change the donkey with the ox, and we understand that the appreciation is to do the actions as if we still had greatness of the Creator, like we were given with endless examples, just upon a new desire and coarseness.
We need to be moved emotionally. Now, the question is, what moves us? It's emotion. We need to be moved by the fact that we serve the Ten, we serve the Creator, the greatest thing in reality, the most beautiful the wisest, the grandest, who fills the whole of reality.
It's really like this game where you fall back into the friend's arms. This workshop, really, this is how it feels. And maybe the reward is being able not to think about myself. And the ability to make an effort for someone else, that's great, really. We as if become like the force of nature that created the whole of creation, and this is probably an infinite pleasure. Yeah, to serve this relationship, to keep its rules, both on my part and also to help each other keep it. I don't know how, but to keep it. We have to always add to the equation that there's none else besides him, to say that everything that happened up till now, this was exactly according to the Creator's plan. Doesn't matter what we felt, all the ups and downs and everything else. It's the best thing we could have received to reach this moment. And now, we can choose just one thing, to see none else besides him working on us, moving us towards the next stage, and we simply have...
I would add, not only not resist, but dance with him together. Try to yearn to make the same movement that he wants and he feels that's right to do.
And what he always wants, and this is pretty unpredictable, and this is very good, because we're told about the same all the time. What he wants?
Rav, questions, please. Anyone who wishes to ask, please ask anything. Even if it's unrelated to what we just discussed, especially if you're traveling, you can ask anything.
Peter,
Peter.
Должно давать наслаждение в эгоизм мой или в к десятке?
Sorry, it was impossible to hear. Again.
Peter.
Величие цели.
The greatness of the goal. Should I feel pleasure? Should it delight my ego or my 10?
If the greatness of the goal provides fulfillment to my ego, this is my personal ego. If the greatness of the goal gives fulfillment to the group's ego, it's a group ego. Certainly, neither one is the greatness of the spiritual goal. In every society, in every nation, you have individual pride and social pride, national pride. This is not what we're discussing. We're talking about the greatness of the Creator. We discover Him as great because He is a bestower, and we appreciate the quality of His bestowal. And that quality of bestowal we raise in our eyes. And all of His greatness is only because He is the bestower, and not because of anything else. That's what I appreciate. And that's why I also appreciate the group, to the extent it can be similar to the Creator. In the future, or or now. But ultimately, everything is with respect to the measure of bestowal. More questions? Take care of microphones. In the back.
Good morning, Rav. Good morning, friends. My question is, you said that you are in constant prayer. Me, suppose.
Let's say yes, as an example.
And my question is, I want to understand, how is it possible to do this? Even during the lesson, during the workshops, when you're talking, I'm focused on what you're saying, on what the friends in the workshop are saying, what I'm supposed to say, and I can't be in constant prayer. How is it possible to do this? This is my question. How can you be in constant prayer?
A person can live in two deficiencies. I go to a test, let's say, in university, or let's say I work somewhere and I have a problem somewhere I have to solve. Together with that, I have a problem at home. So I think of my problem at home. I am in one deficiency, and I'm in additional deficiency where I have to do something at work. And it's possible I have a few additional deficiencies, and I have to take care of everything. There are such that never leave me. There are such that I have to think about and hold on to. The problem with the spiritual deficiency is that it does not appear to us by itself, like in this world various deficiencies appear. Rather, we need to constantly awaken it. And we can awaken it only if I will be connected with a group and will agree in the group that the most important thing is to constantly be in a yearning for coming to know the Creator, for the greatness of the Creator. If I'm in the group in this way, then everyone is holding everyone else. This is called arvut. Arvut means that we generate a deficiency that is not a deficiency. It doesn't exist in us. Rather, when we work together, when we care together, then everyone receives a deficiency from the others. And we obligate, meaning let's say I obligate to think constantly that you will be in the right deficiency, that we will not disconnect. And then you're in it. This is called a deficiency without a deficiency. That in truth you miss nothing from this world. It's not, God forbid, I have someone sick at home and I'm at work and I'm thinking about him. No. That's something else. It's a deficiency that doesn't exist in us, a deficiency for the Creator, for spirituality, to bestow to Him, to raise His greatness in my eyes. There's no such thing. We feel how tasteless it feels. We are sitting here, we're ready to fall asleep. Why? It's not attractive to me. I don't feel a deficiency in that. When do I feel it? When the society begins to engage in it, and then we awaken the deficiency. Only in this way.
Thank you.
But now, for the time being, after the Congress, you'll feel the heaviness of the heart. You'll feel how foggy you are, how you're unable to think about anything spiritual, it will come in a day or so. You will have such periods, and it's good. Just continue and do not escape, like an ox to the burden and a donkey to the load. Meaning we have to continue to do everything even when we don't feel any need in them, meaning any pleasure in them.
What is adhesion, and is it a complete state?
And is it what?
What is adhesion with the Creator, and is it a complete state?
מהי דבקות בבורא, והאם זה מצב שלם?
Adhesion in the Creator is a state we attain through equivalence of qualities. The equivalence of qualities in me, let's say there is a quality of bestowal in me, a certain quality, and all the remaining qualities of reception in me I restrict, and in this quality of bestowal I'm equal to the Creator, to a certain measure. This is the measure of my adhesion in the Creator. That's it. Then I can increase it more and more. I can also fall from that measure of adhesion. But there are degrees in adhesions. What's interesting in adhesion is that we need to set up the deficiency for adhesion, also the revelation of the Creator in adhesion. We have to arrange that, meaning it all depends on our exertion. That's it.
Buenos días, maestra.
Good evening, Rav.
El Creador nos da placer cuando el Creador, en la medida que nos da placer, en la medida que nosotros lo revelamos. ¿Cómo podemos hacer esto cuando siento que Él está en ocultamiento conmigo?
Si puedes preguntar de nuevo con el micrófono cerca a tu boca.
El Creador nos da placer al Creado en la medida que lo revelamos.
הבורא נותן תענוג לנברא במידה שאנחנו מגלים אותו.
The Creator delights the creature to the extent to which we reveal Him. How is it possible to receive this pleasure when I'm in concealment?
When you're in concealment, you cannot receive it. That's why it's called concealment. Rather, maybe what does he mean by concealment? How can we enjoy even in concealment? Because we're in contact with the Creator. Yes, is that what? Look, there are states where I'm in adhesion, in concealment. But if concealment for me is a desirable thing, that I understand that I'm incapable of anything else, and the state of concealment is for my benefit, my own good, and through this concealment I increase my vessels, my deficiency, little by little, a little more, I grow my deficiency, and this concealment brings me closer to the Creator, advances me, it arranges, gives me more and more stability through this inner form of concealment, in which discernments, that they appear, these concealments, then I bless it. And I love it. And I accept this concealment as part of correction. Because this concealment is working. Why? Because I'm incapable of constructing the correct relationships with the Creator. Now, when I'm in concealment, I'm thinking, how can I build the right vessel for the Creator? So from concealment we can build it. How? There's a part in the Zohar called Safa Tzniuta, the book for the humble, or rather for those who conceal themselves, that are behind the screens. They don't want to reveal the Creator with their vessels of reception, but only with their vessels of bestowal. Vessels of bestowal meaning only to the extent that I arrange in myself this quality of bestowal. To that extent, I can discover the Creator, and only to that extent. What is it about discovering the quality of bestowal in me and the Creator, who is the quality of bestowal outside of me? When the Creator appears in my quality of bestowal, I receive knowledge that I'm giving Him contentment in that. And that's how we work. So, therefore, in the darkness that appears to us, we're given an opportunity specifically to set ourselves up correctly. And if a person, as we discussed earlier about the Arvut, if a person is already arranged properly when he's in darkness, and it's a desirable thing for him, it's worthy for him, then he understands that in the darkness he can arrange everything. The darkness doesn't close me up. It depends, of course, on the kind of darkness, but most of the time in darkness we can work. I'm in a group. I'm in my obligations and commitments towards the group, also in the study towards that 10, and then specifically from the darkness I work. It's I who do the work. I'm active there. What is darkness? New vessels appear from the shattering. Meaning, I have darkness now. I attain something in darkness. In this darkness, then I have light, a stage of light. And then another layer of darkness appears. What does it mean? A certain dark wave comes over me, and I don't understand what I'm doing, what's happening. I don't feel anything. Everything is a blur. Where does it come from? From this new wave, new layer of my own will to receive that wasn't previously revealed in creation, from the sin of Adam HaRishon, from the shattering of the soul. Now a new layer of the desire appears, and it comes in order for me to correct it, this new layer, new aviyut, new coarseness. And this coarseness is greater than all the previous degrees of coarseness in me, and that's why it extinguishes them. But it's a new desire that I have to now give it a new intention, new character. Once I begin to work on it, I begin to understand that this desire now has to be a deficiency. A desire and a deficiency are two different things. A desire is just a raw thing. I want. And deficiencies for what? For whom? With what? All those additional directions you can add to the desire, and this is our work. That's how we need to work. That's why deficiency is a deficiency. Come with your deficiency to the group. Be among them and let them establish it, design it in the correct way. That's how we do it. It's like working with a compass, where to go. The group arranges you in the right direction. It says, we're going this way. That's the work.
Gracias, Rav.
Thank you, Rab.
Shalom. Rav, se estou o que dá contento ao Criador?
If I want to give the Creator contentment, Or how do I do it?
How to give?
Yeah. How to give the Creator contentment?
Only through the friends. Otherwise, I don't know how. You're not hitting the Creator. You're not aimed at Him. And you can't be sure that you're giving Him contentment, or the other way around, giving Him grief. Your friends are that environment for you through which whatever you're doing to them, you're doing to Him.
Se estou pensando em dar contento ao Criador, ou se estou pensando que não há outro além dele, ou que ele é o bom e faz o bem, são a mesma coisa?
Danilo, você pode traduzir em
português? If I'm thinking in giving contentment to Creator, or if I'm thinking that He is the good that does good, these are both the same thing. It's the same state.
What do you mean, the same state? Good, who does good, is towards me. How I need to locate Him. To give Him contentment is towards Him.
Durante o dia, se tenho só a intenção, estou sempre vendo que não há outro além dele, ou se estou pensando em dar contento a ele. Qual das duas tenho que, como pode escolher?
How would I choose which one? What we're going to be thinking of? If I will think in giving contentment to the Creator, or if I will be thinking in He is the good that does good, or there is no one other.
במה עליי להתמקד במשך היום? בזה שאני צריך לתת נחת רוח לבורא, או בזה שהוא טוב ומטיב ואין עוד מלבדו?
I don't have an answer. I would say the following. I talked about it yesterday as well. The most important thing for us is to be in this line. There is none else besides Him. It's the most important. If you're adhered to that, meaning you're locating the Creator behind all your thoughts and desires, so right now I feel myself in a daze, in my senses, my intellect, my reason, my emotions, everything. It's just such a state. Where did it come from? It came from the Creator. What does He want? From me to do so and so. In addition to what I feel, external stimuli come to me from the outside. Where does it come from? The Creator. Through the wife, the kids, my boss at work, 1,001 reasons. It's all arranged by the Creator for me. Yeah, of course, the 10, the friends. He arranges the situation for me. And I try to locate Him, and if I can't, that's also not bad. But if I'm holding myself in a state where He is the one who's doing everything, our whole world is a theater, and He is the theater director, and He is arranging this theater, and I'm inside this theater. And the main thing for me, out of all this theater, it's like we're playing chess together or something. He's moving the pieces on the board, and I'm behind them. I need to locate Him. What does He want by that? To bring me closer to Him.
So
I need to see how does he want to bring me closer. And the question is, what? Closing what? Not to leave that he's doing everything, that it comes from him. He's good and benevolent. Even if I feel bad, I feel fear and threats, and confusions. So fear and threats I feel in my heart, confusion I feel in my brain. So the brain and the heart, he awakens and he constantly arranges for me. So I have to constantly be focused on him, to him, all the time. That's the meaning that I work on. There is none else besides him. Only him, a single force that arranges everything for me. Also through the friends. When I look at the friends, this is exactly his expression towards me. Through all those friends, how he wants to bestow to me. Why does he want to bestow to me in this way? Because I must relate to the friends with love, with bestowal, with connection, to be lower than everyone, to be greater than everyone by, if I want to awaken them to the importance of the goal. Then I'm obligated towards a friend to be in such a state in advance. This is called Arhut. And the Creator bestows through the whole world, and especially through the friends, on me. And then that's how I am with him in this conversation, this dialogue. Because I constantly want to locate the form of connection between us. And what are the relationships between us? So that's what he wants, that will constantly scrutinize what's happening between us. And then in that there are cessations, as we've learned today, deficiencies that he awakens, that I awaken by myself from the darkness, I awaken the dawn, and so on. But it's all with respect to that point where I have to locate him and constantly hold on to him as the only cause of everything that I have and everything that I am. He arranges life, and that I feel, the corporeal life, the emotion, the intellect, everything he's doing. And he will keep doing. And on me is only to discover that it's all from him. That's it. It's not that difficult, seemingly. If you focus yourself only on the solution to this problem, that the Creator is managing everything for you, and the rest is simply marionettes, puppets that do not exist. It's nothing. Yeah, he hides that. What for? So you'll be able to calibrate your will to receive, so it will be aimed at him exactly. So you have many confusions, a lot of background noise, a lot of different forms that scare you, rejoice you, pull you in every direction. Suddenly you'll begin to go crazy about food, sex, family, money, honor, knowledge, one more, one less. But that's it. That's how we advance. But we advance how? Always with none besides him. That's the main thing. And then later various problems and troubles will come, fears, anxieties. But for you'll begin to be afraid, and you won't be able to sleep a wink, and you won't be able to calm down. And these could be some serious states. What do I mean serious? It's seriously, it's happening in this world, in all seriousness. There could be such states where It's nonsense. They're showing you it's nonsense. But you cannot rid yourself of it. It still seems to you like a serious thing that you can't escape. And you're telling yourself, what, am I crazy? I can't detach from this problem. It's not a problem. I wouldn't even notice it. Even that you say there's no besides him. That's it. That's what he wants, and I'm adhere to truly nonsense, and I can't get out of it. And more such things. And people are leaving the path. You see, there are friends who received a certain burdening of the heart. They started to get interested in something, whatever's there, and they leave. They go out. Meaning there's none else besides him is our primary problem that we have to constantly hold before us, and we have to work on it, all of us, and remind each other that this is the important thing. The whole wisdom of Kabbalah, which is a method for the revelation of the Creator to the created being, to the person, it points entirely at this principle, that the Creator is a single force, and there's no besides him, and we need to locate him by constantly and everywhere wishing to discover him. And we don't discover him, but at least we point at him. Where is he? We don't know. Who is he? We don't know exactly. But that is the cause. He is the root cause.
Hello,
Rav. At the Congress, on the lesson on the topic of the Creator is between us, suddenly I started feeling this kind of abyss between us. And so I started praying to the Creator. I wanted to do something, and suddenly a friend went by, and he showed me, made this gesture at me that the Creator is between us. And immediately, everything changed, and I felt an ascent. My question is, at that moment, was I asking for myself, harming the group by this? Or should I refer to it somehow differently?
It's one thing that we need to try and find contact with and locate the Creator, which is Him. I don't know that it's Him exactly and how He did it and where and why. Why did He send this angel called Zolnai? That He did this to me. If you ask Erez, he will also might tell you that he didn't do anything. It's all your imagination. It doesn't matter. But it's one thing to locate it and say, this is the Creator, and it's coming from Him, and He wants me to be adhered to that He is the source of everything, and it all comes from Him, and that might be enough. And later, after many such actions, or you will try to locate Him because there's not besides Him, then new states will come in which you will begin to locate Him, different modes, different reasons. Why is it, what for, how. But this is already a new degree of existence.
The thing is that if we're asking for ourselves, then we're destroying, harming the group. This is what we talked about on that lesson. And here I had this kind of an unconscious prayer for myself. What do you do?
That's quite all right. Don't be afraid. If a person wants to locate that there's none besides him, although he has to do it, there's no action that we don't do it. We do everything, but this action is aimed at the Creator. So for the time being, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Certainly, in the next degree, it might all appear egoistic, but right now, it's correct. In a state where I don't have recognition of the Creator and I'm confused to locate that there's nothing besides Him who is working on me, even egoistically, it's a point on the path. Yes, Coleman.
Question from Peter. When you feel descent, and I know that I wasn't prepared, I wasn't ready, how can you prepare yourself for these states in order to use them correctly without disconnecting from the Creator?
It's only the group. There can be anything else. Only the group can hold me and give me this cushion, this support system, and nothing else. If I think about the future, about what to do, I don't want to ever stop my work with the Creator, that I constantly want to advance towards the revelation of the Creator, then it's only me and the group. There's nothing more. And the more I work, and it's recommended without stopping, the more I work, me and the group in one system, to that extent, we are relieved from all the problems. And we receive in the group burdening of the heart, various klipot, shells, disturbances, doesn't matter. Inside the group, it all gets cooked. The group seemingly digests these problems and it is able to prepare itself through all these problems and specifically advance.
So, what action do I have to do in the group?
As usual, as Rabash writes.
Next question from Mexico. What is love of friends?
What is love of friends? When everything that a friend needs, I provide. I can provide and I provide. That's one thing. And the other thing is that I do it from the outset only to reach the love of the Creator.
Question from Petach Tikva. What's the difference between chisaron and intention?
Deficiency, chisaron, belongs to the matter, our vessel, and the intention already belongs to the correction of the vessel.
Question from the Russian Kli. How to work with a friend who's full of knowledge and he has no desire for anything, and for him everything's tasteless.
Full of knowledge and has no reason, no flavor, can't taste in anything. We need to somehow talk about how you can't attain any spirituality, any truth, and with knowledge, that he doesn't even attain what he knows with knowledge. He doesn't know. If I'll put all of the study of the 10 Sefirot into a computer, and I'll create various charts and drawings, and the computer will process it in such a way that everything he knows, you're asking, you're getting an answer. Let's say, right? Is it good? No. It's not the wise who learns. There will be no attainment from that. No attainment. So a person is never measured according to how much he knows, but rather how much he feels. Meaning how much his vessel opens up. And our vessel is feeling, desire, and not intellect. The intellect only helps the desire. The correct thing is to use the desire.
Question from the Russian Kli. What is the most efficient thing to hear the teacher during the lesson and understand the sources when the intention slips away.
You
cannot listen to a person unless if it's not important in your eyes. So to the extent you appreciate the teacher or the friend, then you can receive from him. So not about everything, but at least with respect to the profession you wish to acquire from him, you have to imagine him as greater than you. Otherwise, nothing will come out of it. And this is great work. Don't think this is. No, of course. Rav Leitman knows more than me, then I'm listening to him. No. It's not enough. Entirely not enough. We have to be here with this special subjugation before him, so whatever exists in the teacher will pour over to you. That's a craft. It's not simple. It's a law of the vessels. The upper vessel can give to the lower vessel to the extent that the lower vessel is adhered to the upper vessel and devoted to it and so on. That's not simple. But to the extent of one's devotion, the lower one receives from the upper one. We learn it as laws in the study of 10 Sefirot in preface.
Is the correct chisaron to give to the Creator?
First of all, we're speaking in human language. What does it mean to give to the Creator, to give Him pleasure, and all those terms? We're talking in human language. There's no Creator that feels, that rejoices, that gets angry. There's no such thing. It's a law. It's a law of all of reality. And that's why we speak in this way, because it's comfortable for us to speak about it in this way. But on the other hand, it confuses us greatly to give Him contentment. Poor him, waiting, expecting for us, sitting there, waiting. Why don't we give Him contentment? No, we correct ourselves. Contentment, we have to give Him contentment because He wants to give us contentment. And then according to the law of equivalence of form between us, then it turns out that we become as one and enjoy. Again, enjoy. He also enjoys it. If he doesn't enjoy it, there's no equivalence of form, because I check myself according to the level of my pleasure. I must receive pleasure. The purpose of creation is to do good to the created beings. It must be revealed in the vessels, that purpose. We learn about it, on the other hand, that Malchut of Ein Sof is never filled. It stays empty. Only the vessel of bestowal is filled, which is called reflected light. Our intention that rises from the screen from below up, this intention is what gets filled. And our desire by itself always stays empty. First restriction is never removed. So it turns out that we are working in a different vessel called a vessel of bestowal, and that vessel is what we fill. A vessel of bestowal. So, therefore, if we're talking about vessels of bestowal, we can talk both about our vessel and the vessel of the Creator. These vessels are similar. Because they're vessels of bestowal. That's how we do it.
Last question. What does mind mean in spirituality?
Mind, intellect, is a system, not emotional, not intellectual, but emotional. What does it mean? That there are many discernments, strings of connection, let's say, that can connect between themselves in different ways each time and can give us a solution. What do I feel? Where do I feel it from? For what? What for? Meaning, the mind, the intellect is like a machine, like a computer, 100% that has no emotion, but is ready to process all the data. But it works with the feeling. And there is an emotional intellect and there's an intellectual emotion. Just like we talk about Abba Ve'ima, how interconnected they are. And both of them work on man, on Adam, on Zeir Anpin and his Malchut. Meaning there are differences between the intellect and the emotion that are really on two extreme ends, Chokhmah and Binah. Chokhmah is the reason, is the mind, the intellect, and Binah is the feeling. But it's done in this way, so we would be able to attain the quality of the Creator. Otherwise, everything would have been concluded in Chokhmah, B'china Aleph, Shoresh, which is all light, pleasure, gives birth to a will to receive, B'china Aleph, first discernment, and fills it with pleasure. What else do you need? Nothing. But in order to raise this vessel called B'china Aleph to the degree of the Creator, B'chinat Shoresh, it needs to go through this entire development. And then it reaches the B'china Shoresh. Okay? Why you? I'm the biggest egoist.
No. Morning. When you were answering Hafa's question, a question popped up my heart. When bad things happen, and we have this time when we choose to suffer,
וכשדברים רעים קורים ויש את הזמן שבו אנחנו בוחרים לסבול,
or to don't pay attention on it,
לא לשים לב למה שקרה,
and keep walking.
ולהמשיך לעבוד.
But it's just
זה לא נכון.
No, it's incorrect. Incorrect. Why don't we need to pay attention? Why do we need to decide that we suffer? Not only is there no benefit in that, you shouldn't do it. The Creator wants us to be in pleasure in every state.
There is a moment where I will not even feel that something bad happened.
אז יהיה רגע שבו אני אפילו לא ארגיש שמשהו רע קרה?
No, of course bad is happening, but through the correct scrutiny, you bring yourself to the state where you enjoy it. We don't say it's bad. Because if it comes from the Creator, is good who does good, and it bestows to you good and abundance, then you have to correct your vessel in which you still feel it as bad and not good. Correct it and feel the good. You only need correction. And you can say, okay, I'll suffer. Maybe by suffering I'm correcting something. No. There's no such thing. To suffer. There's no mitzvah, no commandment to suffer. Okay? No, I'm relaxed. You will come next time, you'll be even fatter because you receive pleasure. But in truth, it's correct not to suffer. It's an incorrect approach.
Скажите, общий вопрос.
A general question. What's more beneficial for the advancement? If you have this question sitting inside you for years, is it better to resolve it or ask?
No, ask.
Or ask you, and then I could move on to other questions because it'll be resolved.
Ask. Don't think that if I'm giving you an answer, then you won't be able to go deeper into the question. You won't be able to understand it deeply, and the answer you won't understand. No, you don't need to solve the problem. I'll tell you even more than that. There is no real, true question that a person can solve on his own, only through the friends group, the Creator, but not that he by himself can do it. So a question is a deficiency, it's a lack. This lack should somehow be brought to the group. Give it to them during the workshop. Say, guys, I have a question that's been bugging me for several weeks, let alone months, as you're saying. Let's scrutinize it. Is it truly a question, or maybe it just seems to me, should it be this way or that way or not? Ask them. It's good. I asked, I barely had any friends. We had a small group, but Rabash, and I actually asked him quite a lot, and he answered. He answered. He also told me how it was with his father, Baal Sulam. He would ask him all the time, constantly. There were states where Baal Sulam answered, and there were states where he didn't. No. Avoids, evades. Many times I'm asking him and I'm telling him it's like this and like that, and why this way and that way, that way. The salvation of the Lord is the blink of the eye. That's it. That's what he would answer. How do you translate that? No, not a penny and a penny adds to a great sum. A penny and a penny accumulates to a great sum is from the work of men. And the salvation of the Lord is a blink of the eye, that's from the Creator. Don't confuse one with the other. Meaning, you must think that the next moment everything will be resolved. From above. From above. That's why he would answer this way, and I would get mad. What is it? Where is the answer? Salvation of the Lord is the blink of the eye. Sometimes he would answer with a comprehensive explanation. Would walk in the park. I have time to ask 2 or 3 hours, and I'm asking, and he's answering slowly. You see? Like now, go out to the park. Imagine that you have 3 hours with a teacher. But many times I also heard it like that the salvation of the Lord is as the blink of the eye. Meaning, it's forbidden to give you an answer.
Да, спасение Творца в мгновение ока приходит. То есть вдруг, неожиданно.
ישועת השם כהרף עין, כלומר זה מגיע לפתע, באופן לא מתוכנן, לא ידוע.
The Creator's salvation comes instantaneously, meaning unexpectedly.
And also indirectly. One moment you'll think about something else and scrutinize some other things, and suddenly it appears. Like that. But you can bring to the group each and every question, and you can discuss it in the group. And you may not accept what everyone have decided on. This might not be the truth, but this discussion will surely advance you.
And a follow-up question. On the second day of the Congress, we said that all the thoughts, a person's thoughts, come from the Creator. And we say that there's none else besides Him, and Thou hast hemmed me from before and behind. The question is, how, under such conditions, can there be something that exists independently?
There's no such thing that something exists that is not from the Creator. There isn't.
Then I don't understand where is a person's freedom choice at all.
A man's free choice is to locate that there's none else besides him.
Who is that locates it?
The one who finds that there's none else besides him. He discovers specifically there's none else besides him, that only the Creator exists. He discovers the point that says only the Creator exists. That point exists. Then he discovers it, and only then he's called the created being. And that's what the Creator wants. That's the meaning of he created the created being. But that created being cannot be found, discovered, revealed before he determines that only the Creator exists. My Creator exists. The created being has to point back at the Creator that created him, and then to that extent he will be called the created being.
You just said that man is feeling vessel. I don't understand what this means.
A vessel of feeling is a deficiency for the upper force, for the Creator. That's the vessel.
But is it then something that's separate from the upper force?
Of course. When I have a deficiency, a yearning, I have an inclination towards it. It's like when I want to eat badly and then I feel my stomach is aching, I have this weakness, that's how it is. A deficiency.
It's as if the Creator feels Himself through this feeling.
No, it's not a Creator. Don't play with philosophy. No. The Creator created itself, and how can it do this? And again, the chicken and the egg. No.
I didn't exactly understand what you said. I'll re-listen.
The Creator created a single point. Created the evil inclination. What did He create? Something outside of Him. One point. And this point develops by the upper light, the Creator. 4 phases of direct light, the world, the shattering, this world, the work from below up. What is all this for? So that this point will become independent. In what is it independent? That from within it can point and say there is none else besides Him. And that is its only independence, because otherwise it's impossible. So the Creator has here, according to our perception, the Creator has several goals. For someone to point at Him, at His uniqueness, the revelation of His uniqueness, that He's also good and benevolent. When that point attains this unification, this is good and benevolent. And this point then becomes a created being, only in the end, when He discovered the Creator, that there's none else besides Him. by that it determines itself as a created being. And beyond that, you should think a little bit.
I can't grasp that, but thank you anyway.
It will be recorded. You could listen to it later. Okay, guys, we're coming to a conclusion. What else do we have? Who's flying out today? So tonight, Zohar will have. We're going back to our place. Yeah. Good. The Zohar is upstairs. I hope that even though you're flying out, you'll remain in contact, and we continue to study all the lessons. And when are the rest going back? Another day or two? When are we starting going back to the correct order? Zohar? No, not the book of Zohar, Zohar. When are we getting a work plan for the American Congress?
This week, the initial team is going to meet, and I hope that by this weekend we'll already have the direction.
In general, not exactly, but later we'll concentrate it. So weekend, you'll have the plan, more or less, and you'll give it to NFC.
Yeah.
And as usual, he will get excerpts for us. Let's hope he will do it meticulously, with love.
This time.
Yeah, this time. It's work. What can I say? Although he's a little. It's only, like he goes to the market. He throws a few tomatoes, a few cucumbers in the basket, and that's it. And he brings it to us. But it's work, nevertheless. So bring this agenda, and we'll look into it, and we'll add the whole world clip to it. We'll collect all the excerpts, we'll translate them, arrange them. It's possible that we might need to think of a certain innovation, maybe not to go over the same things again. We'll see. How much time after Passover we have for the Congress?
Maybe a week.
What? Oh, a week from Passover?
On the first
week of May. So a month. It's very good. Because before Passover, it's very hard for us to be in it. So now we need to concentrate on. Purim will pass this week. We need to start tomorrow morning. Purim, the day after, until the end of the week. That's it. By the end of Saturday, Purim is over, and then we go into the first day of Passover. Exile, what is it exactly? Coming out of the exile. All preparation for exile, coming out of exile. In short, we need to do this and to pass the Passover and very concentrated internal study. If we'll start this Sunday, we'll make it. We might have a fewer workshops and more kind of recognition of the material, but here it's a must. And after that, immediately after Passover, the United States Congress, American Congress. Okay? So starting tomorrow, Purim. It's a good time. These times are very good for spiritual work. Purim, Passover, very good time. Okay, one last question.
Can I ask? How do we give the friend a chisaron?
Envy, lust, honor, take a person out of this world. Start talking next to someone, next to that friend, when you're talking between you about something spiritual, but you don't really relate to him. As if you're seeing that he's not into it, he's not in it. Right, Gershom? It works on everyone. On everyone. On me, it worked tremendously. I remember we used to do it in the group. It's worthwhile. Make sure the friends have a deficiency. It's really worthwhile. Envy, in all the degrees, until the end of correction. The envy of the Creator or His hosts. Those are spiritual things. It's a different form of envy, but there's an envy nonetheless. It comes from the shattering of the vessel. Not every vessel that was shattered is now asking either about himself or about why can't I be the greatest bestower? You understand? A good competition. Okay. You have something to say? About envy, please.
From Maor V'Shemesh. It should seem to a person that his friend is serving the Creator more than he does, and when authors envy, it increases wisdom, and this increases the work of the Creator. And by this, each is excited by the deeds of his friends. This ignites a fire in him, and he dedicates himself more to serving the Creator, and by that can achieve revelation.
Envy. Daily task from?
Ken. Сегодня дежурит первая десятка Италии.
With us were today Italy 1, Peter 2, Petach Tikva 3, and Nahariya and Kaliningrad. And the daily task is, during the day, every friend makes sure that the 10 will remember that there is none else besides him. During the day, every friend makes sure that the 10 remembers that there is none else besides him. L'chaim. And this evening we have the Zohar lesson live. And let's sing a song.
בקרוב זה יתגלה, אחים בני כל העם הזה, כל כך שלמים מחוברים, שרים מה טוב ומה נעים. אני לא תמים, זה לא חלום, סבלנו די כדי להבין, שלברוח אין לאן, כל יאיר, כאב הצער לא נכיר, ובכל בית, בכל עיר, בכל לב אותו השיר. עוד גיל לעוד מעט, בינינו ובינו, 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 עוד גיל לעוד מעט, בינינו ובינו.
We have to do this